really get him to lose some weight so he can really fit into the zone scheme that Kyle Shanahan brings. I know with Trey Lance, Trey Sermon, we thought they were going to go inside.
We should start over. We weren't live that whole time. Rookie mistake. Forgot to hit it right after I hit the button.
Cool.
We can't hear you, Waruna.
Let's start over. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, luckily I caught it. Otherwise, we could have been talking forever.
Oh, no. Yes. Could I have?
Here. I'll do this real quick. 30-second reset. There we go. Yo, what is up? We are back. This is No Border Sports. Back at you for the second time in 5 minutes. My name's No Crypto. This is my co-host, Waruna. We are here with Chuy and Alejandra and our friend, Randon from Cerberus Sports. How's it going, gentlemen? Please say hi.
Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be on.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always good to see you guys. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yep.
Yes, so we did a Jimmy Garoppolo, a rookie mistake to start the show with. Just like go. So now, why we wanted to discuss about 2021 draft class. The reason being 49ers made it to the NFC Championship game. It was like we were just one drive away. If we had a one good drive, we would have been in the Super Bowl and winning that. But having said that, I felt like apart from Trey Lance, because 49ers had a plan, they said they want to see Trey Lance maybe year or two. Other rookies that we drafted, apart from Eddie Chamichel, did not have a great output contribution to this team, where I thought, okay, whether 49ers got it wrong, whether they should have go for rookies that could have made a big impact and get it over the line, because end of the day, we had a Super Bowl caliber roster, whether we believed it or not at the beginning of the season. So that's why we are going to talk about it and want to focus about some individual players specifically. So we'll start with Aaron Banks. Chuy, I'll come to you. 48th pick, 49ers traded down. Why do you think we did not get much of him in this season?
So I'll kind of start off, thanks, Waruna. I'll start off by saying a high-level thing first. That kind of has to do with the whole draft class altogether. And in my opinion, what it really comes down to is the 49ers were able to retain a lot of their internal free agents last offseason. With the COVID situation going on, the lower salary caps, every team was really cash-strapped out there. So a lot of our own individual free agents that we thought we were going to lose came back on 1 year veteran minimum, real low affordable deals. So I think it really, as a whole, it kind of limited our entire draft class from last season. But that's kind of what I wanted to say about the entire draft class. Now, more specifically on Aaron Banks, I think Aaron Banks, when you look at him in college, he was really a mauler, inside run. He was 330 pounds, huge guy. He was really fit for the power run game. Well, we know Kyle Shanahan, he does not run the power run scheme. He likes to get out on the edge, do the zone blocking scheme. We like to stretch the defense. So I think Aaron Banks specifically, he probably needed some time to lose some weight and kind of get into the shape that we needed him to be effective. So I think that's one of the reasons that he didn't get on the field a lot.
Randon, I'm coming to you with a just added question on this. 49ers seems to me like not drafting offensive linemen very well. The best players we have are like either traded, acquired from some place, or free agents. So do you think Aaron Banks was a mistake. I mean, Chuy made a great explanation why he thinks it went that way. But what is your thought?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the major, the stain on why a lot of people think that is Creed Humphrey. Probably the best center in the game last year, was drafted after him, and so he also played some guard in college. And so I think people were like, okay, it's just it's like prospect envy or pick envy, right? Like we could have had this guy, we didn't pick the right guy. Like we picked a project, and then we picked another project as well. And so with Trey Lance, because they decided to start Jimmy, and then and all that kind of stuff like that. So I think it's just on the people's mind there. But if you look at overall, like on the Niners offensive line stats, one of the biggest weaknesses was Daniel Brunskill, right? He allowed the most stacks of any offensive lineman. His pressure rate percentage was 6.02, so allowing a pressure on 6% of the dropbacks. And so the right guard position was something that was the biggest issue for the offensive line going forward. Him and Tom Compton allowed the most pressures per snap. And so when you're drafting a guy in the second round that's supposed to be not a project, an immediate starter, and then you get production from a player with a lower salary, it allows you to spend money elsewhere. That's why you have to draft well. And so I think that was just compounded each other there. And then when we lost McGlinchey, you're starting Compton and Brunskill on the right side. And even though that PFF rated us number 1 in the run game the second half of the season and top 5 in the pass game, you're right, it could have been better. And we saw that we got handled a little bit by the Rams. We got handled a little bit, by the Packers in the week before on some instances. And being a run-heavy team and having a quarterback that isn't able to play off script, you need the offensive line to shore up, and having a project in Aaron Banks for a team that was ready to win now is a head-scratching pick if that's why they took him. So for me, they should have took somebody that was ready to play. And I think a lot of people also want to draft corner that high, right? So, the Asante Samuel Jr. So there's a lot of things there. I think a lot of it's prospect envy, right? I don't consider Banks a bust because he was really never on the field. We let him play out his contract. If he starts next year and he's a starter for all 16 games and he does it the next 3 seasons, then he won't be a bust. He'll be a pick that contributed, depending on how well he plays. And so overall, I think it's like an incomplete, right? I mean, like Chuy said, like we don't really know what he is because maybe he was losing weight. Maybe he was, conditioning his body for our offense. And, you have to like take it as it comes. And so I think it's like an incomplete grade. If you're going to give him a grade, it'd be an incomplete because, we really haven't seen much of him.
Yes. Ryan, go ahead.
Pynor stole mine. This is what I was thinking. I always, how to put it? It seemed, I heard reports that he was just not like, it looked like he didn't know what he was doing. And, it doesn't matter, being slow only hurts things if you're not getting to the spot in time. You know what I mean? And if you have other players on your team that actually can see what's going on, they can slow up to let you get to that spot. So it's not necessarily speed or strength. I thought it was all about the scheme. Like he was going right when he was supposed to be pulling left. And they couldn't have him out there at all if, because of the complexity of that run scheme, to have it fall apart just because one of the guards doesn't pull the right way. So I think that's why he was I think he was, pretty much sidelined. They were like, look, you just sit on the back burner. You learn everything that you have to learn, and we'll see you again next year, bro.
Okay. Chuy, before we jump into the next topic, just want to ask another follow-up question. Do you think 49ers jumped off a bit, or they could have waited a bit more to draft Aaron Banks if they really needed him? Do you think that 48 pick deserves the player?
I think just kind of piggybacking off of Randon there, we don't know. I mean, we're going to know after this coming season whether or not, he has to see the field this coming season. We're going to be losing a lot of players. We're going to have some cheap players that contribute. So I think we really don't know. I'm not really ready to say he wasn't worth the pick, but I think he I think he has a chance. We'll see. He did good at Notre Dame. We have to wait and see. So to me, I'm not going to say it was a bad pick. I mean, as he mentioned, we had a lot of players there. We could have had some cornerback help. We could have had a center that was young that we had for the long term. But I'm not ready to just, bail on him yet. It's to be determined, in my opinion.
Yes, understandable. Let's move on to our next topic, the cornerbacks. Ambry Thomas. Now, it's it's fascinating because it's like the Trey Lance Jimmy Garoppolo debate. There is a clear section that thinks Ambry Thomas is already a clear-cut starter. To me, I'm not still convinced that Ambry Thomas is a starting caliber, given that he's not in the same level of Mosley for me. So I would really like if we go for a corner trade for someone in this year. So Randon, I'm coming to you first. What is your thought on Ambry Thomas?
Yeah, I thought Ambry Thomas did great. I mean, so he was another thing where it was health in the beginning of the season. So he came in slight. He had a COVID year the year before, and so just getting up to football shape, was the reason that you went in that direction. But if you look at his stats and from a just a basic standpoint, right, you're looking at he had he had 5 pass breakups this last season. Only Jimmy Ward and Mosley had more. And Jimmy Ward pretty much played the entire season. Mosley, as you said, is a more established cornerback. So for the fact that he played better towards the end of the season and got most of that production in the final 5-6 games, that's, a big pass up breakup per game. You saw progression with him in the first couple of games. He was at the catch point, not able to bring the balls down, had a game-winning interception later on in the season. So he's making strides. Is he like a top 5, top 10 corner that you need in the league? No, not at this point, but he's making progression. And so it maybe affords the Niners not to take a cornerback in the second round, maybe take a safety instead of getting Tart, maybe get a D end if you don't believe that D Ford's going to be back or what have you, or maybe you get a interior offensive lineman if Mac retires. It affords them more mobility within the draft and the free agent process than having be like, oh, well, he didn't work out. Lenore didn't work out. Verrett got injured, yada, 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 where now corner is the number one need. It allows them to be more, flow like water, so to speak, in the offseason and maybe push cornerback a little farther down the road, depending on which free agents they battle for. So I thought he made quite a progression there. We know the NFC West is loaded with wide receivers, so it is important for the guy playing opposite of Mosley to be competent. But I thought that he played above what a rookie would look like the second half of the season. And I'm excited to see his progression going forward. The main thing I like about him is most often is that he was a press corner in college, and being physical with a lot of those bigger wide receivers in our division is something that he's not afraid to do. And then when he starts learning more the complicated zone coverages, how to hide his scheme, how to hide press versus whatever, he's just going to get better and better. And so I'm encouraged by him there. And I think that he will be the other guy sitting across from Mosley next season, outside of a move that we're not aware of yet.
Brian, I'm coming to you with the added question. So are you going to bank on Ambry Thomas, or if there is a good free agent available, would you still do that? Or are you sold on Thomas and Mosley combination?
If there's a good free agent, I'm definitely going after it, especially if there's somebody I can work in the slot. Then that's the dream ideal conditions all day long. Because then if Ambry Thomas shows up, and he builds off of what he was able to do this year, then set him outside, put that, fancy dude on the inside, you know what I mean, that you went out and got for, who's got all that talent, and let him get after Cup. You know what I mean? Get after them receivers in the slot. That's, really pesky people. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I think that's you pull the trigger on that, especially if they can play in the slot, you pull on. In fact, I think after you resign people, you know what I mean, that's one of your biggest concerns, other than, solidifying a better offensive line. So
Chuy?
That and say
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to agree with Randon on that. I really think Ambry had a great season, especially down the stretch. He really showed the athleticism, the speed that he had that we thought coming out of college. He was able to really be put out on an island one-on-one. We mentioned the Week 18 game sealing interception. He did that against OBJ, who's supposed to be this great wide receiver. So I think Ambry Thomas, in my opinion, push cornerback down from the list of needs for the 49ers from probably like a top 1 to 2 need from last season down to like 4 or 5. I think it's down the list. I don't really think cornerback is a real critical need for the 49ers this season, at least for a starting cornerback. Now, depth-wise, we do need some depth behind the starters, but I think Emmanuel Moseley and Ambry Thomas are 2 solid starters, and they're penciled in for Week 1 starters next season. And I think that was a successful season that you can ask for from a rookie coming in like that.
Yeah. One more question for you, Chuy. So would you let Kayvon Williams walk away?
Who is that? Oh, Kayvon Williams.
Yes.
I was looking through the free agency. I mean, he is one of the best slot cornerbacks out there. I mean, he's a little bit older. He's lost a step, obviously. He's not as quick as he used to be after all his injuries. He is still playing at a high level, though. He helps us a lot in the run game. I mean, his tackling ability, he can come in on those blitzes. He's a very key player to the defense. But this leads into another rookie that I think is better suited to play inside. Early on in the season and in preseason, we had Diamador Lenore out on the outside. He's not equipped for that. He doesn't have the high-end speed to do that. So I think he's more equipped. He's really shifty, more equipped to be inside in the slot. So that's potentially another starter next season in the slot and from this year's rookie class. So Kayvon, if we can get him at the right price, I'd be all for getting him. But I think somebody's gonna pay him a little bit more than we need to spend there. Keep your eye on the Jets with Robert Saleh. Keep your eye out with the Dolphins with Mike McDaniel. I think he's a player that maybe will just be priced out of our range.
Okay.
I can see that.
Let's move on to our next topic. Trey Sermon. Ryan, I'm coming to you first because we were talking about in our roundtables that probably Trey Sermon is the guy who is going to get that 1,000 yards. We were thinking that Rahim Moser will be the protected. He will not get more than, let's say, 10 to 12 carries per game. So Trey Sermon will be the guy who is carrying this offense, the running game, but it was a surprise. I think even Trey Sermon was kind of frustrated with the way team treated him. So what exactly happened? Do you think we needed Trey Sermon, or again another missed opportunity with the draft?
I think we did need a Trey Sermon, but we didn't need him this year. I think Trey Sermon's more of a power type back, run up the gut, and we're still trying to do zone. And I think he's going to come in more handy when Trey Lance is under center, because that's kind of more you run, those the read options, kind of more of like a power mixed with an outside zone. You know what I mean? Like you're faking to the running back's going up the middle, and you're looking at the end to see if the end's crashing down. You know what I mean? So if you're giving it to the running back, he's going up the middle. So I think he's more of a downhill runner instead of east to west and then finding the hole and cutting up. And I think that's kind of what we saw. He might have more talent than Mitchell as far as in the power game. And that's why there's still, I don't know. We don't know because, the doghouse, the this and the that, we don't know. They're not saying anything. Like, we had no real idea what's going on with Brandon Ayuk till like 3/4 of the way through the season. You know what I mean? Like, and we still don't 100% know, but we know, you know what I mean? So it's hard to tell.
Yes.
I'll listen to what everybody else has.
I'll remind you before you answer that he was the 3rd round pick, number 88. Basically, it was Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, then Trey Sermon. I think that's why we had that high hope. So, Chuy, what do you think? Do you agree with Ryan?
So if you guys go to my YouTube channel at Chuy Alejandra, right after the draft, we did a evaluation of our draft picks. I said it back then, and I will repeat it back now. This was the worst draft pick we made in the entire draft. We traded up to get him. People forget that. We traded up to get him. We got him in the 3rd round. We were so deep at running back. I mean, I know we had some injuries, but we had Rahim Moser. We had
Hasty.
We had the guy coming
Jeff
back
Wilson.
later, Jeff Wilson Jr., and then we ended up getting Elijah Mitchell in the 6th round, which that's where we should have been picking running backs.
We even had Wayne Goldman. We did cut.
Yeah, we had Wayne Gallman. That's right,
Yep.
back in the preseason. So I think this was by far our worst draft pick this past season. It played out during the season. He barely saw the field, and to me, it was a wasted pick. This is a pick here where we could have got cornerback help. We could have got offensive line help. We could have got somebody that was actually going to contribute. Instead, we got a player that really didn't show up at all during the season. Elijah Mitchell outplayed him in camp. He obviously had a spectacular rookie season for us. So to me, I don't really think that there's a lot of room for Trey Sermon going forward, especially with us being able to draft another running back later in this year's draft, maybe keeping Jeff Wilson Jr. We'll see how that goes. But to me, Trey Sermon, this is one that I will say was a wasted draft pick, and I don't have high hopes for him, honestly.
I have a question for you, Chuy. So if we do draft a running back, let's say late round, 5th, 6th, something like that, do you think that automatically screams its curtains for him?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, this guy, he's already showed that he's not really sold out for the team. If you guys remember mid-season, he took all the 49ers stuff off his bios, in the social media and all that. So he already showed that he's really not bought in. He's not sold. I don't blame him. I mean, they weren't using him, but to me, it just screams like this is not going to work out. This is another Joe Williams type pick that, we had on early on in Kyle's first season. So to me, you just got to move on. Get somebody who's actually going to contribute that fits our system, then he'll just, somebody that can actually contribute.
I didn't know about that. Him doing all that stuff on his social media, doing the Kyler Murray before Kyler Murray did it.
Yes, he did. He did that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Speaking of which, hold on. I saw a great interview with what's his name from the Tampa Bay Bucks. When he went to the Super Bowl, Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp was talking with Rich Eisen about Kyler Murray, and it's a good listen. I like what he said about it. It pretty much was like, Kyler fucked up. Like, he should have just been a man, gone to the boss, told him what was up, and if they weren't going to change anything, then you should just shut up and just sat there and waited for what was to come. It was pretty hilarious. But go ahead, Randon.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yes.
No, you're fine. So I kind of disagree a little bit with Chuy as far as I didn't think we needed a pick in the 3rd round, so the pick was still puzzling. But the type of player that Sermon is, I think the fact that he's going to give a nice plus minus, and I wouldn't resign Jeff Wilson. I think Mosert's going to get more money from Miami just because of that he probably can in that run system, and so we need 2 running backs at this point. I believe if we do draft one late, it should be a hybrid, like a pass catching, more of a pass catching running back with a guy that has special teams abilities because our special teams was so weak last year. And so I also think that Trey Sermon, his mental state got better as the year went on, on not only on social media, but based on what they were hearing out of practice. And so sometimes when you're a premier guy your whole life, and then you get outplayed by a 6th round pick or whatever, like this is your first sign of adversity. Like, I mean, he went from Oklahoma, transferred to Ohio State, had over 2 300-yard rushing games. Like, he's having all the success you could possibly have. And when you're a football player at a major conference, you're a big man on campus, man. Like, you have all the girls looking after you. You're getting all these different things. Like, and then you're going into the pros and you get licked by a guy that is hungrier than you are. It's just something maybe that sets you back mentally. And so I believe the fact that he was 2nd in the draft at the 10-yard split, which allows him to make that one cut back. He can be a little bit of a bruiser. I do think Elijah Mitchell needs better vision to hit the home run speed. His largest rush of the year was 39 yards. If we're going to be a heavier running team, we have to start hitting these to the house. But there's also packages like you mentioned, Ryan, with Trey Lance at the goal line. If you have two guys, weighing over 225 at the goal line plus juice, and maybe we go big, we can do a lot of different packages in there. Do I think he's going to be the guy that everybody drafted him to be in fantasy football? No, but I think he's going to play a bigger role this year. And I think they should draft either a running back or a wide receiver who has high special teams abilities late in the draft, to help with that, because I think the fact that Trey Lance reads deep to check down, I think we might see a little bit more passing to the running backs next year, and to have Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon who can catch the ball, and maybe draft a running back who is more physically gifted in that area, and kind of have a diverse running group, will be beneficial to the Niners.
I actually think that passing with Trey Lance under center, passing to the running backs is going to be really fruitful for our offense next year, because everybody is going to be bailing out, trying to cover the deep routes. And you know what I mean? You're going to have a running back one-on-one with the linebacker. You know what I mean? Out in a little bit of open territory. So I think you're going to see them throwing to that, because you have to respect that deep ball that he throws. You know what I mean? And he can hit it from all different angles, as we see now with the videos from practice. So yeah, I think it might be very fruitful for the offense next year.
Ironically, as a lot of people think that Jimmy just does the Dunkin' Donut type throws, but he doesn't throw to the running back a lot. So that wasn't really a part of the offense. I thought it was going to be a greater part of Shanahan's offense when we got Jerick McKinnon, and that was going to be a staple part of there. But you saw it towards the end of the season when Debo was lined up. They ran, I think it's called the Texas route, where he kind of runs that pie out of the backfield and do a little bit more of that stuff. Not saying that Trey Sermon's going to lead the team in those kind of yardage, but I think he can play a role. Was it worth a third-round pick? I agree with Chuy. No, it was puzzling that they moved up to get that kind of guy. But the player that they get is going to be complimentary, I believe, next season. I think he'll have his head on straight a little bit more going into camp than he did last year.
That's another point I wanted to bring up really quick as well. Is you mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't throw a lot to the running backs out of the backfield. Trey Lance doesn't throw a lot to running backs out of the backfield. If you go look back at his tape at North Dakota State, that's not something that they really featured in that offense. He was throwing the ball outside and deep down the middle to his wide receivers. He didn't do a lot of screens and a lot of short passes. Instead, they did the quarterback runs at North Dakota State with Trey Lance. So I don't know if that's something that he has in his tool bag. It's something he's going to have to work really hard on for it to be a part of our offense going forward.
If I was Trey Sermon, I would be at the passing camp in Southern California with Ayuk and everybody else to kind of get that mind meld going, because it'll show ambition, it'll show that he's willing to learn, and it'll improve his hands.
Yes. Before we move on to next topic, just want to answer the question, Pino. My only doubt is, compared to the schedule we had in 2021, 2022 is going to be really tough, because AFC West, then you are going to play Miami Dolphins, the third team from the AFC. Then not sure how Tampa Bay and Saints are going to show up. So the schedule is tough I am thinking we will not see the Trey Lance that we want to see in 2022, given the schedule we have.
I think you're overpopulating the schedule. Like we have a third place schedule. We got third place at our division. We're going to be playing the third place guys from the chosen games. And the AFC West, the Broncos are decent. The Chargers didn't make the playoffs. They have a good offense, but their defense gave up a lot of things. You're looking at the Chiefs are good, but Patrick Mahomes has given up games with interceptions. Kelsey and Tyreek Hill are going to be older. I also think Mahomes' salary is going up. So are they going to be able to refill a lot of their roster? The roster is what the roster is. I also think the Niners are probably the second or third best team in the NFC. So are we really afraid of these other teams? No, we got to go out and win. I just don't think. Would I have rather had the lumps taken this year from a rookie, from Trey Lance, than having Jimmy Garoppolo? Sure. But I think that we saw that we can win games with mediocre quarterback play as long as we get mediocre play from Trey Lance and he does a little bit of extra stuff. We're going to be in a lot of these games regardless of opponent.
You know how much better the offense will be, or the team will be, if the interceptions are thrown, 30, 40, maybe 50 yards down the field instead of 15 yards down the field. You know what I'm saying? It's a long punt. It's a punt.
But Trey Lance has to learn how to do he has to learn how to do the 3 and 5 step dropbacks. Like, he's going to have to fit balls into tight windows, which Jimmy does decently. And he's, I think I heard today that Mac Jones has more starts in the NFL than Trey Lance has in his entire collegiate or NFL career combined. Like, he just hasn't thrown a lot of balls. There's going to be mistakes. Not all the interceptions are going to be 30 to 50 yards downfield. But I think we saw that we can win games with mediocre quarterback play. And so all he has to do is be mediocre with a little bit of extra, whether it be through his legs or throwing the ball downfield, allow our defense to help him, allow our running back to help him, and we should still win. We should still have a winning record.
I'll chime in really quick, and this one's for Pie Nor right there, who's lighting it up in the comments. So I appreciate that, Pie Nor. I was always called a Jimmy Garoppolo supporter all season long because I thought he was the better option for the 49ers last season. But as the season went on, especially down the stretch, we saw how limited the playbook was with Jimmy Garoppolo. He just does not throw the ball downfield. I mean, a long pass for him is 20 to 25 yards downfield, and that's ridiculous for an NFL quarterback. So I think Trey Lance being able to bomb it downfield like he did against Houston with that big 45-yard pass to Deebo Samuel on the play action, those kind of things are going to open up the offense so much that I can't wait to see Trey Lance out there doing that. And yes, it is going to be a significant upgrade just because it gives the 49ers more space to operate, in my opinion, with Trey Lance back there instead of Jimmy Garoppolo.
To help,
if the safeties have to play honest.
To help Chuy's point, the game against Texas, Trey Lance had more air yards than any quarterback in the last 4 years in one game for a single game performance. So just that kind of stuff, the off-schedule throws that we're seeing on these practice videos leaked by Vega and everything like that.
Yes,
you're looking at those off-schedule things, and what I think that Chuy's and Ryan are both saying in maybe different words is that Kyle Shanahan can't call the perfect play every single time, regardless of what a genius is. Those off-script things, Trey Lance needs to do the stuff that's in rhythm, and if it doesn't work, you're going to see a lot of off-script things that could help bail out if Kyle makes the wrong play or the defenders cover the right route or whatever. Because you saw a lot in Herbert's first year and Mahomes' first year. Like, even though that they had great stats, a lot of the times they were one read, and when the play broke down, they utilized their legs and try to make something happen with their athleticism. And you look at Kyle needs to be not like he is with Jimmy, in the fact that, hey, it needs to be within my system. You need to follow what I'm doing. I'm drawing up the right plays, and kind of relax and say, hey, I'm going to give you the right play, but I have to trust that Lance is going to do something if he sees something else open. And we saw that in the Texas game.
Okay. So let's move on to our next topic. The overall, what do you think about this draft class? Do you think they did enough to help the team, or it's more about getting there next year, playing with Trey Lance? So, Randon, you can start on this.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing when you have a draft class is you want the first, second, and third round picks to contribute almost instantly. So, Trey Lance is one of 6 quarterbacks in the last 2 decades not to start more than 4 games as a top 5 pick. So as far as a top 5 pick for a quarterback. So he's in rare company for having sat that long. There's been rumors lately that came out that said that he was the quarterback coming out of camp, but if he didn't fracture his finger or had that bone chip, and there was multiple times throughout the year, but Jimmy played well at the right times to keep his job. So if we fast forward now, we have a lot of things that are going right for us. I like Chuy brought up Diamador Lenore in the slot. I think he has a lot of sideways mobility. And so if we can keep the roster cheap in some areas after having the highest paid tackle, highest paid linebacker, highest paid tight end. Like, we need to have cheap players contribute, and that's what draft picks are supposed to do. So Aaron Banks didn't do that. Lance didn't do that. Trey Sermon didn't do that. And so until second half of the season, Ambry Thomas, right? So eventually we got a little bit of production. Hufanga was a good special teamer. So it was kind of mediocre. We got extreme value from Elijah Mitchell, but I think we're going to see a lot more value still on the rookie contracts coming to next season. And then hopefully the second round pick, or maybe multiple second round picks, depending on what we get for Jimmy, both contribute, and we can start getting production out of players not making a lot of money, to where we don't have to pay all these free agents, and we can build through the draft. Overall, I thought, based on my opinions, that the Niners under Shanahan have been about 50% successful, based on my opinion of how the draft picks went out. And so, that's just, obviously, like I said, my opinion, but overall they've done a pretty good job. But in order for you to be successful, those top picks need to hit. And when you don't hit, like Solomon Thomas, you don't get that extreme production, right? Like if you see what the Micah Parsons did with the Cowboys, just revolutionized their defense, made them the worst defense in the league to a mediocre. Their team was a whole lot better over one player. We saw with Bosa how our defense jumped over one player. And so overall, that was a long-winded answer to say that I wish it would have been better. But hopefully we see those players that didn't produce this year produce next year, and we have a better draft in 2022.
Yes. So I'll come to Chuy. And Chuy, I'll let you go off a rant to answer the Pinos comment as well. You can say anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
No BS. Yes, the
that.
channel is no BS. You can cuss. You can say whatever you want. So you are free.
So I'm going to say it like this. I mean, it's not going to be a long rant, but I'm going to say it like this. There were people before the season, during the season, the end of the season, that said one thing was going to happen, and there were people that said another thing was going to happen. Well, yours truly said Jimmy Garoppolo was the best option for the 49ers last season. He was going to start all season long, and he was going to take the 49ers to the playoffs. So Jimmy Garoppolo took the 49ers to the playoffs. He started every game except for the two he missed due to injury, and we went to the NFC Championship game. So I would say Kyle Shanahan also agreed with me, and he played Jimmy Garoppolo instead of Trey Lance. So somebody was right, somebody was wrong. That's all I'm going to say. I wasn't wrong. And we went to the NFC Championship, guys. I mean, come on. There's 28 other teams in the NFL that wish they would have been in the conference championship games with a shot at the Super Bowl. We had a lead in the fourth quarter, so we were, 10 minutes away from a Super Bowl appearance. Of course, Jimmy Garoppolo was the best option last season. I mean, it proved out that way. It played out that way. I know people don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm over Jimmy Garoppolo. He's gone. I'm happy that he's going to be gone, and Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback going forward. I'm going to support Trey Lance 100%. But, I mean, it is what it is. It played out last season. We saw it, and we had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So, Pioneer, thank you for the comment, and thank you for the love, brother. But I was right. You were wrong. I'm sorry.
Yes. I'll accept that as well. I was right. So
okay, now
about the other question, the draft class.
Cool. So now moving on to the draft class. So I think when you look at the draft class, we're potentially getting 5 starters next season out of this draft class. So even though they didn't really contribute during the season as much as we would have hoped during the 2021 season, I mean, we have Trey Lance, who's obviously going to start more than likely, unless we get Tom Brady or something like that. But more than likely, 90% chance Trey Lance starts. Elijah Mitchell is locked in as the starting running back. We have Ambry Thomas going to be a starting cornerback. Talanoa Hufanga, he's a special teams stud, and he's one of the leaders on the special teams unit. He may start as strong safety if we're not able to bring back, Tart. Tart might get paid, so we might not be able to bring him back. And then, possibly Aaron Banks, possibly – did I say Ambry Thomas? I did say Ambry Thomas, but Diamador Lenore. So that's the 5th player that he could start in the slot. So when you look at a draft class potentially having 5 starters next season from that draft class, you have to say it was a successful draft class, in my opinion.
What about Jalen Moore? Do you think he will going to work out? Ryan, you can answer the question.
Well, he'll work out if they move him to the right side. Or maybe move him to the you could move him to the inside on the left side as a guard. But he's a big boy, and having him and Trent next to each other and not like bookends, I just think is not smart unless you're trying to do like a weird matchup to where one side's like a pass blocking side and the other side's a run blocking side, and you're doing something weird like that. But then it doesn't make sense because they're gonna know, hey, if they're gonna pass block, or you know what I mean. It's you can't swap the sides, so it doesn't make sense. So I see him maybe coming out and not starting, but competing for McGlinchey's job next year. He did a really good job, I thought, when he was asked upon, or when he was called upon this year. No, Randon? No, he didn't do a good job. Okay.
No.
Well, I thought he did a good job.
No, I don't think he has a chance at taking McGlinchey's job unless McGlinchey's not healthy.
Okay. I can't tell you you're wrong.
No.
I can't tell you you're wrong. There could be things behind the scenes I don't see. They thought it was a no-brainer to pick up his 5th-year option. So there might be something behind that. He might be giving a little rub and tug to people to keep his job, and everybody loves him. So
he's not a bad tackle. People hate him, but he's like over his existence, he was a top 5 run blocker for like the first 3 seasons. And, he's a decent pass guy. Like he just gave up a lot of highlight reel pressures where the quarterback gets hit. But if you look at Jalen Moore, I mean, it's limited action, but he saw 145 snaps and he gave up a second highest on the team in 6.94 pressures per snap. And so, he was a tight end turned defensive end turned tackle. And for a 5th round pick, ultimately, like we get a backup swing tackle out of a 5th round pick, I think that's a successful pick, right? If it's a whole lot different than if he was drafted, where Aaron Banks was drafted or something like that, where you're expecting a starter, right? But if you get a contributing player in the 5th round, which would be a swing tackle if a case of injuries, because we saw Trent Williams go down a couple times. We've seen Mike McGlinchey have injuries. We don't know if he'll re-injure that. You could see him be a swing tackle there. And then he's still learning the position. Like only had 1 year under tackle. He played tackle last year. So, he might be putting on more weight, as far as that's concerned. But what I did like about him, which I think.
So last year when he played, I believe he went up against some really good defensive lines. I remember one of them was the Cardinals, I believe.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't have the games in front of me on that he played. All I know is he played 4 games, had 145 snaps, gave up 5 pressures, 1 sack, and his pressure percentage is 6.94, which the only person that was worse was Colton McKivitz, who played less than he did at 10.81%. So giving up a pressure every 1 out of 10 snaps.
Yeah.
So I didn't include this question before, but I thought we talked about everyone in this draft class except for Hufanga. I want a quick answer from every one of you. What do you guys think? Sold on Hufanga or not?
I'll go first with him. I'm a big fan of Hufanga. I honestly, I hear all these people on here saying, hey, he's not a starter. He doesn't have the top end speed, but he plays off of instincts. I mean, if you look at it during the season, everybody talks about the
Let me disturb you for a second and add some additional thing to it. If Tart walks away, are you comfortable with Hufanga?
I think I'm comfortable with Hufanga. I mean, I think it is going to take DeMeco Ryans adjusting the defense a little bit because he's not going to be as interchangeable as Tart and Ward are right now. I mean, one of the things that makes them so special as a tandem is both of them have elite speed, and they can, cover the deep middle of the field. They can both come up and stop the run. Hufanga is more specialized. He's a more bruiser down close to the line of scrimmage. but he's a very instinctual player. So even if he does occasionally get caught in coverage, he's going to rely on his instincts to make plays, which he did during the season. I mean, he is not, I think, as bad as a lot of people are making him out to be. I think he could be a starter in the league. He's not going to be a top-end starter, but I think he could be a starter in the league if you have nobody else.
So the thing about Hufanga and his instinct that I think people, they talk about, he's not fast enough. Well, if you know how fast you are and you know how fast they are and where the point is, you know where to put yourself in position to be able to make the play. So if you have to be 5 yards deeper than everybody else because you're a little bit slower, so you need to be able to get 5 yards back a little bit more so you can get more of a head start, then that and you use your instinct to tell you that. So I think it's just it's going to be a feeling out period, you know what I mean, when he's asked to do some of those roles he wasn't asked to do this year. And I think it might be a rough camp for him, because he's going to be asked to do different things that aren't necessarily in his wheelhouse. And it's to get him so he can get those instincts fine-tuned.
Randon?
Yeah, I think I don't think he's a starter, like a good high-end starter here. If it were me, and I think this is like we're going to see maybe some dominoes collapse, right? If Diamador Lenore is trusted to make the slot, then we don't have any backups there. So are we going to sign some veterans, some minimums? Are we going to bring backups in through the draft? You're looking at multiple mock drafts that I've looked at have about 4 or 5 safeties with fringe first to second and third round grades. I've seen a couple mocks have safeties being drafted. Petrie from Baylor was the one I saw to us there. And so there's lots of options if Tart walks. And so which is where the pick was at, which was, I think, 5th round. If we get a backup and a special teams guru out of a 5th round pick, I'm happy with that. I wouldn't really depend on him to be a full starter. They would have to make more additions, right? Because then if he drops, who's the backup there? We also have Tavarius Moore coming back from an injury, who had a higher athletic ability in college, hasn't really put it together from a professional standpoint. So he's a little bit of an unknown. Overall, about the pick, I do really like him as a guy. I like his attitude. I like what he brings in the locker room, his positivity. I like his energy that he brings on the field. And those kind of things is going to be something that is always necessary on a team. But if Tart walks, and I would be taking safety with the 2nd or 3rd pick in the draft, just to get more depth in that area. And if Hufanga wins the spot after that, then he deserves it. But I don't think they should be, anointing him the starting spot if Tart leaves.
Barak Bole. So let's move on to the next topic. We have a few more topics to finish off. Move on to the free agency. Now, there are multiple free agents that Fortinanders have, and some free agents, like we talked about Tart, whether we should let him walk away. But let's say, who are the free agents that you think we should re-sign at any given cost? Chuy, you can start.
So I don't take up the whole time. I'll do one and then we'll move on. So I think the most important free agent I think that we have this offseason, unrestricted free agent, is going to be DJ Jones. I think DJ Jones is such an underrated player for our defense. He can move. He's a run stopper. He can put pressure inside on the quarterback. I know everybody thinks that, our first round pick from Javon Kinlaw is going to be able to recover, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be able to recover from his knee problems. He's never been healthy since we've had him, and DJ Jones has just predominantly made play after play after play when he's on the field. To me, he's an underrated player, and I think he is our number one free agent priority. Should be DJ Jones.
How much is too much for DJ?
I think anything over like $6.5 million a season. I think you want to keep him in the $5 to $6.5 million range. Him being a defensive tackle, like a true nose tackle, basically is what he is inside. I think that's going to limit his income. So I think he's not going to be priced out of the market for us, but he is such an important piece to our defense that I think we can afford him, we can keep him, but he's also going to get, a raise and pay. But I think he is super important for our defense going forward.
See,
Randon,
I'm willing to
coming
let
to
him
you.
walk if he's too expensive. I'm not like it's not that I don't like him and don't appreciate him. I mean, like you said, dude's got handles. Like, I don't want to play him in basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna get around me and he's gonna dunk on me. That man has got moves. But I just know that we've got Coach K, and we can get guys in the 6th, the 7th, and undrafted free agents that can come in, and or guys who we can trade for a 6th round pick who are high picks in the draft and didn't work out. We can get those guys. So I'm not too worried about even though DJ Jones is one of my favorites. It's just like when I think as a general manager, I'm thinking I got something special in Coach K. You know what I mean? So if I ever need to cut money, that's where I'm gonna cut money. We're gonna figure it out because we've got depth. But go ahead.
So Randon, I'm coming to you, but I want to ask about another player since Bay Area Bowler is here. Arden Key. Tell me, would you let Arden Key walk away? Because Arden Key is the favorite player for Bay Area Bowler.
Yeah, I would let Arden Key walk. I mean, he's probably going to get a good, decent amount of money. I mean, I assume there's going to be a market out for him. He's definitely going to get a pay raise from what we signed him this year. DJ Jones is better than he is. DJ Jones is actually second on the offensive or defensive line in tackles, and everything like that. Like for being that effective player, so you're going to get more production for roughly the same money. I think he, as a defensive end, is probably going to get 6 to 8, and you're going to get better same production from DJ from the inside. So I would let Arden Key walk if the price is too much. I mean, you saw what one season for Kerry Hyder got him from another team. Teams are always looking to get DNs that can disrupt. And
wasn't it 8 mil?
I forget what they gave him, but like you look at Dante Fowler, just got cut from the Falcons, and he could be a reclamation project that we could get better. Like he had less sacks than Arden Key. Like he could be cheaper, and he was a top 5 pick. So I mean, there's always going to be guys that maybe are reclamation projects. Bay Area Baller says Jordan Willis in there, who was suspended for the first part of the season, had some injury concerns with the ankle. Might be a little bit cheaper there. And so there's going to be always positions available. And like you said, Ryan, Ken Kasurk, you need to trust in him that he's going to be able to get the most out of any guy they bring in. And so they don't need to overpay for guys that you can easily replace. I don't think DJ Jones is an easy replaceable guy for what he brings for the amount of money that you're potentially paying him. I mean, obviously there is eventually going to be a cap in salary that you don't want to pay that, and you bring another guy in, but he brought that kind of that jam last year that we really needed.
I think one thing really quick to add in onto that is, Arden Key is a more premium position. So he's going to really get a lot more money for doing the same type of production as he had mentioned. So you definitely want to find the players that are going to be affordable to us because we have those top end players that make so much money. So when you have the George Kittles, the
Fred Warner.
Yeah, Fred Warner, Trent Williams, and you have all these guys who are top paid at their positions, you have to find the deals. And I think DJ Jones is one of the deals that we can have that's a super effective player.
And Arden Key, Arden Key can play as a defensive end on first and second down and then move interior as a defensive tackle. So if you keep him, from getting burned out and gassed out, he can play a lot of downs for you, and give without having to pull him
DJ
out.
Jones and Armstead, so he'd be the fourth option on the interior.
What's up?
He would be the fourth option on the interior defensive line, in my opinion, behind Armstead.
Oh, I'm just talking about
DJ
for
Jones
other teams.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying another team might want to pay him more because they could use him more. Gives you more looks.
So, Ryan, I'm coming to you to finish up this question with one player, Asis Al-Shai. He was my favorite player on defense this year because he did so much. So I mean, let me know who is your player that you want to hold on to, but I need the answer for that as well. Do you let him walk away?
Yeah, no, I don't let Aziz walk away. It's like you might have to pick between Aziz and Kinlaw. It might come down to that. No, is that stupid?
What do you mean Aziz and Kinlaw? Kinlaw's on a rookie deal. Why would you cut Kinlaw?
No, it's not Kinlaw.
For no reason.
Not Kinlaw, not Kinlaw.
You mean Greenlaw?
Greenlaw. Yes.
You mean Greenlaw? Okay.
Yeah, it's my bad. Yes. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's not even a choice, man. You take Aziz all day. He's actually shown it on the field over Javon Kinlaw, man. Get rid of that guy.
No, yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, but the laws. I got the laws mixed up. My bad. Yes. Yeah, like it's a toss up, and I almost think I have a feeling I definitely keep Aziz because Aziz be coming down with them interceptions. Like I know Greenlaw's had a couple, but like Aziz been like this year has been putting in work, and it seems like he knows how to get in the middle of things to put himself in a good position to make a play on the ball at times. And for a defense that doesn't get a lot of turnovers, I think we need to, if we're going to pay one and not the other, it needs to be the one that gets the most turnovers and got him most recently.
Actually, he reminds me the song from Ted Lasso, what they chant. He's here, he's there, he's fucking everywhere. That's the guy, basically. So last topic of the day.
Well, I mean, I didn't give mine. I was just commenting on Chuy's, but I think.
Sorry.
I think Laken Tomlinson. Yeah, I think Laken Tomlinson is an obvious one, but we might. But because the fact that our offensive line isn't very deep, and there could be a lot of things, right? I mean, you could see a decline from Mac. He's going to be another year older. He might retire. You look at McGlinchey's coming off an injury, so we don't know the level of production we're going to get from him. The right guard spot, as we mentioned earlier, is a sore spot on the offensive line. So if
it's a revolving door,
if different things happen, like you're looking at only Trent Williams being the quality starter on that team, and so to have a guy coming back that's a Pro Bowler, the only thing is that Miami, I keep saying Miami because of the fact that they have cap money and they need their offensive line was one of the worst in the NFL, might outbid us, right? And I think that it's been rumored today. I saw on somebody's Twitter that the talks between Lincoln and SF aren't going to get done before free agency because he's going to probably want to test the market to get that bag before he goes. So unless the Niners blow him away with an offer, I just don't think that we might get him. Now he might want to stay a home discount to play with his boy Trent Williams, or he might go and just say, hey, like, I've been here 5 years. I want to get more money. It's going to be up to his prerogative, but there's 50. I would say he's probably a top 15 guard in the league, maybe top 20. And you're looking at anywhere from 9 to 15 million a year as the salary cap goes up. Are we going to be able to pay that kind of money when we have the highest paid left tackle in the game? So I think the only way he stays is if we don't get outbid by somebody.
I feel that
last.
Oh. Go ahead, Chuy.
The last thing on that is the last sentence, what you said. He's a top 15 guard in the league, probably. He's a top 2 or 3 guard in free agency available this cycle. So he's going to get paid, and I think it's going to price us out for him. We just don't have that kind of flexibility in the cap for players like that. So I think even though he's good, I just don't think we're going to be able to afford him because there's not a lot of talent available at that position this cycle.
The only thing that could
worst
really
case scenario, we have Brunskill move to the left side and we have Aaron Banks on the right. That's a little scary.
Exciting.
The only thing I think that might, keep him here is what you said was, stand next to Trent, and it's not just your buddy. You've got a great talent there next to you and Trent, and what Trent can do is keep bodies from falling on your legs. You know what I mean? Trent knows how to manhandle people, and he knows where to shed them. You don't have to worry about some idiot blocking somebody right into your legs and rolling your ankle or contorting your knee the wrong way. And that's something to think about when you're in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a mess in there. And to have someone next to you who you can trust, and you know that your body is taken care of, at least on that side, and you have to just look to the other side a little bit more to make sure you're safe. You know what I mean? That might be something.
But he's also
And
like
the
30
Super Bowl
years old
aspect.
too. He's also
What's up?
30 years old, so this might be the last contract that he's going to sign as a pro player. So we need to keep that in mind as well.
Yes. So let's move on to the last topic of the day to wrap the things up. So Mostert and Verrett, what do you think? Because I love both these players, but injury prone. Should we, gamble on them or let them walk away for good? Chuy, you can start.
So I think, this is hard because Mostert is probably one of my top 3 or 4 favorite 49ers that we have. It was just so amazing watching him in that 2019 run to the Super Bowl. He was unstoppable, man. He is so awesome to see, but somebody's going to pay him more than we can give him. We're not going to be able to afford him unless he just loves the 49ers and wants to stay, and he's going to take like $2.5 million a year, $3 million a year. Then we can keep him as the change of pace back. Then I would do that. Now, Verrett, the weird thing about Verrett is last season I was upset that we brought him back and we were counting on him to be a starter. I think if we bring him back this season, we're not going to be counting on him to be a starter because we have our established starters coming back. We have Mosley, we have Ambry Thomas. So I don't think we're really going to be depending on him. So if we can bring him back on the cheap, I really wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back. But, he does have starting corner capability. So I think somebody's going to slightly outbid him for us. And I don't think that we're going to really put that much money his way. So I think out of the two, Mostert is more likely to come back just because I think he's the better player for our team and our needs right now. But I honestly don't think either one of them are going to come back.
Randon?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Chuy there. I think you definitely pick up the phone for both and see what they're expecting or what they're looking at. Both are coming off an injury. And I agree with Chuy, but from a different angle as far as Verrett. I was happy they brought him back as the starting corner. I was unhappy that they didn't have anybody to replace him knowing his injury history. And so for me, it was now that you have if you bring him back on a cheap deal, not only is he going to push Ambry Thomas for the starting role, he's very athletic. I mean, I know he hasn't played much slot corner, but he could push for that guy that roams, from side to side and see if he can do that because he does have great lateral quickness. And we saw him body up a lot of wide receivers in the league last year. And so, if he's coming back and the market isn't huge on him because we're seeing in this free agent period, Jackson and Gilmore and all these guys, like these high end corners, he might slip under the radar, and he's been injured like every single year besides 2 years ago. So are teams really going to pay up for that? I mean, he was betting on himself last year, and that's why he signed a 1-year deal with the Niners, thinking that if he had another season like he did the previous season, he'd be able to sign a 2 or 3 year deal at 10 to 12 million because he put back-to-back seasons together. And now he hasn't. He didn't play all year. And so we might be able to get him for cheap. And I think having a, depth in the cornerback position, whether it's Verrett pushing Ambry Thomas or he's pushing Deommodore Lenoir for the slot, or it's just insurance for an injury, right? Mosley had ankle stuff, and all that kind of thing like that. I think we definitely need depth in the cornerback room. And if the price is right, I think Verrett has all pro level skill. I just think Moser gets bought out by Miami because they need somebody over there. But I would definitely pick up the phone for him.
Ryan, you can wrap up today's discussion.
So
with your thought on this.
I don't know if any other team is going to be able to justify a roster spot for Rahim Moser other than the 49ers. He's getting old. It seems like he only this season he only lasted 2 plays. You know what I mean? And the contact that caused the injury, well, not the contact, but the what caused the injury didn't seem vicious at all. You know what I mean? It seemed like a normal football play. I love Rahim. I also don't think that Rahim is just going to split and leave the team that believed in him when no other team would. I think he was looking for a home. I think he believes this is his home and he wants it to be his home. That's kind of what I'm saying. I don't have anything other than just feelings. You know what I'm saying? Rahim Moser seems like one of those men that, you know, you do something for me, you treat me right, I'm going to always be there for you because you gave me that chance when no one else would. So as far as that goes, Rahim's staying. Verrett, what's up?
Yes, what about Verrett?
Verrett, I think Verrett could leave. I'm sure there'd be teams that would kick the tires on him. You know what I mean? Any type of talent in that position, but they're going to be very wary, and I don't think he's going to get the money that he actually his play deserves, because everybody, even maybe himself, is unsure whether he can perform a full season. So
yes,
but yes, I'd love to see him as a backup role. You know, don't play him on any turf, all grass fields. Hey, you know, we're not going to play you on turf, homie. You know, we respect you. We care about you. We're going to have you in on, you know, certain key plays, maybe, you know what I mean? Or do something, you know, they'll figure something out. You know what I mean? But he'll be good to have around to talk to our young guys and to kind of, you know, come in a pinch and a bind. Somebody's going to get hurt. You know what I mean? It's going to be great to have him to come on. And then, you know, yep. So I think Verrett, if anybody, is going to be leaving.
So that sums up our discussion today. We talked about starting from the draft class, some free agents. So again, thank you very much, Randon. Go follow Randon. I have added all the description, his new YouTube channel. You can find on our description today. And Chuy, thanks for coming on. And check out his articles. He writes for Sports Illustrated. So there are very valuable articles. You can follow him on. And again, Pino, he was right. We were wrong about Jimmy Garoppolo. So let's give him that win.
Plug your channel, Chuy.
So I have plugged all the channels.
Yes, yeah, so y'all make sure y'all follow me, Chuy_Alejandra on YouTube. So y'all follow us. Try to get us some subs up to the, here in the off season. I want to hit the next season with at least 500 subs. So Pine man, I love you. You bring it. I respect your opinions, but have an average night, my friend.
Yes, Randon.
And Randon, Cerberus Sports, right? Cerberus Sports Talk.
Yeah, Cerberus Sports Talk, getting the channel started there. We're doing all kinds of stuff, not only 49ers football, but baseball. I'm going to have a basketball episode next week and all kinds of stuff, so keep an eye out for that. Also, if you like hockey, I work for Hockey Royalty, doing LA Kings and Ontario Reign coverage, and we just got added to the Hockey Podcast Network, and so we'll be doing a lot of cross episodes there with other programs. So, yeah, keeping busy.
So thank you very much, guys. As Pino always says, have an average night. We are out.
Peace.